So I'm currently trying to investigate whether or not I should port my administrative tool for the digit system from Qt or Qt to the CopperSpice platform. Now, I have not updated Qt for almost 2 years now, so the version I'm using here is 5.11.2. I know they've released several versions since then, so perhaps the problem I'm going to illustrate here has been solved, but I kind of doubt it. So I wanted to check to see if CopperSpice has a good alternative to what I'm doing here. So here on my database tab, I have a set of tables, and some of them are fairly large. This one has 2 million rows and 10 columns of information. So there's 20 million data points in this table. Here I've done a select all, and you can see there's just random names and addresses and cities and states, etc. that this data generator had done. Now I've got a specialized query here where I'm just getting the name, the address, the city, the state, and sorting it by the name, and only getting rows where the state starts with the letter N. So we're going to get a subset and fewer columns in this one. So if I just double click on this, it'll pull in a smaller, so this one, instead of the 2 million, I'm only getting 312,000 rows. But still, it's a decent sized table here. But I'm using the model view controller for displaying my data, meaning even though I very quickly found the 312,000, I've got it in memory, all the results are there, but I want to try and populate 300,000 rows into just the QTable widget would take a long time. So what I'm doing is just displaying the first couple thousand rows here, and as the user pages down, it'll pull in more and more data. So very quickly, now in this particular version, what I'm doing is I'm using the fetch more mechanism. So I display the first two or 3,000, and then it'll call my can fetch more, and it'll pull another. So as I'm paging down, you'll see a little break there when it's going to get the next batch of rows and then displays them. So this is able to fairly quickly pull in more and more groups of data and display them. The problem comes in when you try and because you'll see my scroll bar here. Even though I've got 300,000, we're already at the bottom here before it knows that it needs some more data. So I still get some. So if I'm just sort of moving my scroll bar up and down, you'll see when I get down to the bottom here, there'll be a pause, and while it's trying to get more data, and that's a problem that I'm trying to overcome here. I want to have a very snappy interface where I can just grab the data and move it around. But right now, using the fetch more, my pauses still happen, but they're only a few seconds long, which is kind of annoying, but it's something you can kind of deal with. The second approach that I have, here, let's close this browser and go grab another version. And this one, instead of using the fetch more, let's put it in here. So this version of the browser will pull all the data in. Let's go grab that again. Grab that same set of data. So instead of just telling the model view controller that I've only got a couple thousand rows, I'm telling it I have all these 312,000 rows. So as I'm pulling down the data, so I come here and I start paging down, you'll see it doesn't have that break every 1,000 or so rows. Like it'll pull them in a lot faster. You'll see my scroll bar over there on the right reflects my 320 or 12,000. So this is a much smoother interface as far as coming in, trying to pull in data, display it as I can without the pauses. The big problem here is if I come over here and grab my scroll bar and try and drag it down quite a ways. So I'm going to drag it near the bottom. Now my interface is kind of stuck. In fact, it'll be stuck for a minute or two. So if I try and do anything like move my thing, it says not responding. The interface is stuck. And what it's doing is it's trying to go and fetch all those rows between the name Benjamin and where I dropped it, which is way down in the S or T's, or we'll see in a minute how far down it goes. But you'll see it goes for a while, then it'll update. Now I'm in the J's. It's still, I'm not doing anything with my mouse at this point. It's just background pulling in data. And what I would like it to be able to do is be able to grab it, slide it down, and not have to pull in all the data in between where I am and where I want to be. Be able to sort of jump down to the S's and just grab whatever rows are way down there in the list. Yeah, it's all down to the W's. So now I'm, after that minute or so of a pause in the interface, now I can freely, use my GUI events. I can now move up and down very quickly because all of those things have been fetched in, but it took a long time to get to that point. And so I'm looking for a solution that will help me to pull in the data and display it without that noticeable pause. Now this one has only 312,000 rows and 4 columns. If I have 10 million rows and 20 columns, that pause is expanded by a lot. In fact, the user might have to wait 10 minutes before they are able to use their UI in between, simply because they tried to scroll down to the bottom. So that's what I'm looking for as a solution to this problem. Hopefully CopperSpice has looked at this before and has something that will help me out. And if so, I would love to hear about it. Thank you very much.